Hey, how's it going, YouTube? It's Frisky Dingo here doing another response video. Told you guys I was going to do at least 2 videos a day, just talking about random things that I've seen on the internet, on the news feed, on the channel, bringing it right to you guys, just so we can have a conversation about it. Different terms of topics. And today's topic for the response we did earlier, Sonic Origins. Right now we're going to get into Joe Budden versus Charlemagne the God. One thing I can say with this one, it's actually pretty funny. I watch both of these people extremely close. So it's actually pretty cool to see both of them, be in this industry and have their opinion. And it to be that widespread. I think that's one of the most important parts. We don't get to see that a lot with our current new media members. Well, where can I begin? Joe Budden versus Charlemagne the God. From everything I've seen and posted online, the original beef started with Joe Budden readdressing a court case in which Charlemagne the God had already put in the past behind him. It was a court case about Charlemagne the God being 22 years old and basically... to put it in, short terms, very PG terms, he convinced or cohorted a girl to basically drink something that she didn't want to drink. He had, sex with her, and because it wasn't consensual, she sued him in court. And that's basically what happened with Charlemagne the God. Now, with Joe Budden, they were going back and forth because Charlemagne had been on the Joe Budden podcast. He was speaking to Joe Budden and his crew. Joe Budden himself didn't like how Charlemagne approached it by basically picking sides, telling his guys, why did you, change the name of the show? Why is it called the Joe Budden podcast? Why are all 3 of you guys not named in it? And so on and so forth. So with that happening, Joe Budden and Charlemagne pieced it up through the mutual friendship of DJ Academics. DJ Academics then said himself that he felt as though he was put in the middle of the situation because at one hand, Charlemagne is a respected media member. He has his own ownership and rights, and he does his media thing 100%. He's been in the game for mad long. And then Joe getting into podcasts, which is not a new industry. It relatively isn't a new industry. People have been doing podcasts since the 80s, since the 70s. What is new is the new industry in the sense of business deals, contracts, and profitability in the terms of ownership, in the terms of catalogs. Those are the most important things that Joe is basically trying to fight, which obviously it's not the same as the hip-hop industry. So we don't want to get too in-depth with that. So overall, they both had their misunderstandings. On Joe Budden's podcast, he ended up going on a rant about Charlemagne, speaking about power, speaking about ownership, and that's when Charlemagne the God fell offended. Basically, Charlemagne is partners with Andrew Schultz. Andrew Schultz basically got in the middle of the situation when he commented on Charlemagne. He commented on his podcast, Brilliant Idiots, about Joe Budden. Then Joe Budden then responded on his podcast saying, things like, you and this Indian boy, XYZ. And obviously, Andrew Schultz took offended by that. Charlemagne the God took offended by that. And that being said, what ended up happening was Andrew Schultz responding and saying the same exact thing, reiterating that you don't know what you're talking about. His most famous quote from that entire situation was, he said to Joe, "You're upset at me because I told you to join Patreon originally and you went to go get a Spotify deal, which fell through." And that's where the tumultuous relationship started between everyone. At that point, Joe, feeling personal, he went at Andrew Schultz some more, and then he completely cut himself off from Charlemagne. And that's pretty much the story. There really isn't all too much to get into. They're both media members. Charlemagne had explained that he felt as though Joe acts one way in person, but then when he's he's one one way in person, like a mentor or friend, but then when he's on his podcast, he's kind of like trying to start this, back and forth, enemies, frenemies type situation. Shout out to Ethan Klein and Sis over there, frenemies. They have a good show going on. Her name was Tasha, if I believe so. If the chat could tell me what her name is, I totally forgot. I think I've seen a few of her work. I think I've seen her on the internet. So, but getting back to the conversation, Charlemagne didn't want to do frenemies. He didn't think it was the proper thing to do when conducting business and friendship. He explained that to Joe. Joe and him kept going back and forth. And once again, he explained to Joe that you can't be one way in public and you can't, be one way on your podcast. You can't say F the industry, but at the same time craving for industry deals. And that's basically the hypocrisy of what he was trying to say to Joe. So long story short, you have two grown men, unfortunately, bickering and arguing about pretty much nothing, because in their respective fields, they're both respected 100%. Like Joe Budden, if you take him away from the podcast, he still has, really good lyrics, really good writing, really good one-hit wonder. We got a one-hit wonder is still a one-hit wonder. A lot of people get upset at that, but, I tell people all the time, you love Aha, right? Aha, Take On Me. Name me another Aha song. You can't really. So I could keep going about one-hit wonders. We'll get into another video about that because I have a bunch of one-hit wonders I love. But that being said, we are at the point where, in the precipice, where Joe Budden is losing a lot of his relationships, friendships, partnerships because of, and ultimately, I don't know this man. I don't know anybody in his circle, but the one thing I could say, because we're all videotaped all the time and we're all recorded through the internet, is that unfortunately he has this way about him in which he can't stand not being below someone. This was very common in his rap career. When him doing Slaughterhouse, he had a beef with Eminem. He had a beef with Royce. These men really tried to work with him to get deals put together. He wasn't trying to do it because he felt some way with Eminem. Same thing when he originally had the podcast and was running with Marissa and Rosenberg. He got into a situation with Rosenberg, which wasn't okay either. So that's another situation. And then there's multiple different situations in which Joe Budden has not done the proper thing. So that's what I'm going to say. Ultimately, I love Joe. He's fun to watch. But when it comes to business, Charlemagne, he's your mans. You should definitely try to work together to continue to build the brands together. And this type of public airing of dirty laundry makes no sense to me because they're both friends. So at the end of the day, if you're both friends and you're both want to come to a conclusion about this friendship, then you should respect each other's boundaries to the fullest extent. And that way, y'all both will be able to realistically have a relationship where you're both comfortable. So that's basically it for this video. I didn't want to get too into it. I love Charlemagne, love Joe. But this is just petty drama. No one can really sit here and talk about it all day. So that being said, the next video I'm going to drop is my unboxing video. I'm going to get straight into it. I'm not going to talk too much about it. My unboxing video is going to come with a separate video in itself, just explaining what I'm unboxing real quick. And then I'm going to have the unboxing video attached right next to it. So you look out for that video. It's going to be really fun. You know me. I love unboxing Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I will also be doing my StockX Jordan unboxing. I will also be doing my Nordstrom unboxing. So I have a few other videos I'm trying to wrap up and get out there. Also, I might be doing another response video. So we'll just look on the internet to see what there is. But until then, my friends, I'm pretty much out. Frisky out.